How's it going, everyone? Mike the Warhost here, and today we're taking a look at the Secret Service Posse and the best way to go from purchasing the box to a full tournament-sized list. The Secret Service Posse, unlike most of the posses we've discussed thus far, isn't really one you can field by itself in a full-size tournament list. There just aren't enough slots to fill up all 1,500 points. You're going to need to bring in some backup for Honest Abe to hit the threshold. For smaller games, you can certainly bring the Secret Service Posse in force, however. The Secret Service Posse is a face-heavy list that beefs up the already impressive Union phases by allowing them to re-roll grit checks regardless of the posse size. If all 6 slots are filled, then Abraham Lincoln gets tough as well. If played right, the Secret Service will be an absolute wrecking ball in smaller point games and a solid core in larger lists. The box contents itself will give you about 810 points to work with, along with a full posse card if you choose to go that route. You can also put 2 of the posses into slot 5, leaving the last one available for an agent face from another faction. There are a large number of agent faces available to choose from, so this last slot should be determined by 2 factors: playstyle and secondary posse, if any. This tactics video is going to be a bit different due to the highly restrictive nature of the posse itself. Here we'll focus more on the best ways to use the agents you have available, along with some suggestions on secondary posses to augment the Secret Service. There are 2 major rules available in abundance with the Secret Service that will let you seriously put the smackdown on your opponent: undercover and teamwork. As I discussed in my recent 1.09 update video, undercover got a massive boost in this version of the game, finally making it useful. Over half of the box contents come with the undercover rule, letting you keep them in reserve and bring them on nearly anywhere on the table, as long as they're at least 12 inches away from an enemy model. Units with undercover also have a chance at staying alive thanks to the distance requirement and mind check required to be targeted by a human unit. Teamwork lets you activate an additional face or boss within 8 inches as a triggered activation, much like the Interrupt Guts card. When played correctly, you can link together a large number of units and activations to decapitate your opponent's force or severely hamper his future plans for the game. This isn't without risk, however, as your opponent will then be able to chain together just as many activations in response. If your units are left out in the open without any support, you're going to be in for a bad time. There's also one additional rule that, while not as pivotal to the success of the posse overall, can definitely tip the balance, is rapport. As I mentioned in my 1.09 recap video, rapport now not only lets you take an additional civilians unit, but also lets a unit with this rule automatically pass a check with a critical success, provided you are within 12 inches of any civilian. And since every Secret Service unit with rapport also has a strong critical effect on their weapons, it can definitely be powerful. I wouldn't recommend building a list specifically around this, however, as civilians aren't the toughest models in the game and will surely be a prime target to minimize the number of victory points you can get at the end. I mentioned before that the playstyle will affect your choice for the final agent. Most of the Secret Service members will have rules that will synergize well with other faces not in the posse. Camilla Blanche is a prime example. Her oldest profession rule only works with another Soiled Dove unit like Sierra Icarus or Missy Mims. You can keep Camilla in reserve, use undercover to have her come onto the board within 12 inches of Sierra Icarus, then use oldest profession to give both units a grit and limit bonus for the turn. As of this recording, there are a whopping 19 faces that can be taken in the final slot for a Secret Service posse. I'll group them into 4 different categories based on what they can bring to the force as a whole: utility, melee, short range, and long range. The first group is going to comprise of utility characters, faces who bring additional mechanics and skills to the list that aren't readily available. Here we'll find Longtree with Sawbones and Carl Fredrickson with his Polar Glove. We'll also see Jocasta Tobin and her ability to bring spirit apparitions, as well as Hans Spellman and Catherine Holst for their neutronic Caduceus weapons, which have the drag rule on a critical success. Aaron Meltzer falls into this category as well, thanks to Treasure Hunter and Shrewd Strategist, giving you some additional card manipulation abilities. Garrett Morden also fits the bill as a utility slot, thanks to his Dark Council, Compel, and Rabble Rouser special rules. Sierra Icarus fits as well, with both Invigorate and Rejuvenate buffing nearby units. Next up is the melee category. The Secret Service doesn't have very many decent melee options outside of Abraham Lincoln, and you'll probably want to keep your boss fairly safe. Fortunately, there are a few options that fit this category. Missy Mims has a pair of shivs with Refined and Brutal on a crit, as well as Frenzy giving you a free strike action for every critical success. Ernesto Volk's Shock Gauntlet comes in with Stun on a hit and Disorder on a crit, which works beautifully with Quick Strike. Favor the Bold will also keep him alive a little bit, as long as he has faces to punch. Furio Montoya is fairly similar to Ernesto, but her weapon's critical effect is fatal rather than simply disorder. She also comes with Quick Strike as well as Stone Cold Killer and Elusive, making it easier for her to poke holes in people and run off afterwards. And rounding out our melee list is Nakano Gozen, an utter whirlwind of death. Not only does she have Quick Strike and Stone Cold Killer, but she has Durable and Elite and Prodigious. Anything she gets into melee range with is going to be a pile of bloody chunks on the ground very quickly. Moving along, we have the short range category. Faces with a good amount of firepower that need to get up close and personal. Everyone's favorite card sharp Doc Holliday's here with Quick Draw and Split Shot available for both his razor sharp card deck and nickel plated pistols, both of which have a rate of attack of 3 and an aim of 8. Position him effectively and he becomes a less moody Alting Reaper from Overwatch. For a short-range face with a bit more punch than Doc's piercing -1 shots, look at Jedrick Powell. His rail pistols have a piercing value of -4 as well as shred on a critical success. Dead-Eyed also means you can target a specific model in a unit, like the one carrying the Gatling gun for example, and his lasso gives you the chance to disable an enemy unit with Tangle. Sadie Walker is a solid and inexpensive choice if you want to utilize Camilla Blanche's buffs, and Venacidi Helios brings some short-range, indirect fire as well as access to hazardous weapons with her relic pistol and thermite grenades. Finally, we come to the long-range group if you really want to reach out and touch someone. Thomas Tate Tobin brings an additional source of ammo clip as well as Stone Cold Killer and Headhunter for additional self-sufficiency. The piercing -2 on his golden rifle and golden pistol certainly don't hurt either. Legendary Jedrick Powell and Black of 2020 gives you not only an 18-inch range piercing -4 rifle with shred and lethal on a crit, but also a 15-inch pistol with shred on a crit, as well as tough, metal, durable, moving target, and galvanic. There's a reason why this guy is 190 points. He's worth every single one. The odd man out here is Pat Garrett. He can easily fit into either of the long-range or utility categories. His rifle has an 18-inch range with a piercing of -2, but no other effects. He has an OK pistol and an iron-ass baton, but a mediocre fight value of 5. He lets you bring another unit of K9 Automata and provide some free rerolls with Inspirational. While he technically fits, poor Pat is easily overshadowed by other options. Unless you decide on a specific list build that will maximize any additional units you can bring, odds are you're going to fall a bit short of the 1500 point mark for standard tournament lists, so you need to think about what other posses you'll be bringing. My personal recommendation would be to grab the Forlorn Hope Posse box and bring a few hands units with Custer. A good number of adventures in the game revolve around objectives, and having a few units of Union hands with access to shoulder, and 8 fortune for rerolls, and for the boys, and inspirational, depending on unit placement of course, is practically a no-brainer. If you use this while playing Send a Message, your opponent is going to have a stupidly difficult nut to crack at your end. The actual unit size and number of unit hands you will take will be determined by the number of points left over after your final agent choice and the adventure at hand, if you know before the game starts. But the core idea is there. So there you have it, the Secret Service posse in a nutshell. A surprisingly flexible posse that works very well at nearly every point level, either by itself or with some additional backup. That's going to do it for me today. Stay tuned for more posse discussions, payment tutorials, and battle reports in the future. Take care, everyone.